The oldest assumption in the theory of decapitation warfare is that when you remove the head, the body stops. That when you eliminate the supreme commander, the intelligence chief, the military council, the entire apparatus of strategic decision-making in a single synchronized operation, the machine beneath them goes quiet. It pauses, disorganizes, waits for new instructions that will never come. Militaries have been designed around this assumption. Operations have been planned on its basis. The assumption is seductive because it is partially true, and the word partially is where empires have always made their most expensive mistakes. On the morning of February 28, 2026, Operation Epic Fury struck Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah simultaneously. In the first wave, the compound of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was destroyed. IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour was killed. Defense Minister Amir Nasirzadeh was killed. Armed Forces Chief of Staff Abdolrahim Mousavi was killed. Ali Shamkhani, former head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, was killed. Over 40 senior officials died in the opening salvos before the first hour of the operation had elapsed. The United States confirmed it had carried out 900 strikes in the first 12 hours. Israel confirmed 200 fighter jets had struck approximately 500 targets. The decapitation was real. It was comprehensive. It was historically unprecedented in its speed and precision. And within 60 minutes of the first explosions, Iran's retaliation was already in the air. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps did not wait for orders. By the time any surviving official could have assessed the situation, Iranian missiles and drones were already crossing borders. Ballistic missiles targeted Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Shahed attack. Drones struck the Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait. Missiles targeted the 5th Fleet headquarters in Manama, Bahrain, and the U.S. naval support activity. Drones approached Dubai International Airport, injuring 4 employees. Debris from interceptions caused fires at the Burj Al Arab Hotel and at Jebel Ali Port. Abu Dhabi's Zayed International Airport was targeted. 1 person killed, 7 injured. In Saudi Arabia, Iranian drones struck the Ras Tanura refinery, one of the largest oil processing facilities in the world. The UAE alone claimed to have intercepted 148 Iranian drones, 9 ballistic missiles, and 6 cruise missiles in the first 24 hours. Iran fired approximately 420 missiles across 9 countries and ships at sea within the conflict's opening phase. The question that analysts, governments, and historians are now confronting is not whether Iran's retaliation was effective. Most missiles were intercepted. The physical damage, while real, was not catastrophic. The question is deeper and more disturbing. How did a military whose entire leadership had just been eliminated manage to execute a multi-theater, multi-vector retaliatory strike within 60 minutes of the opening blow? The answer lies in a doctrine that the Islamic Republic of Iran built over 40 years. Specifically because it understood that its leadership was mortal, that its command structure could be targeted, and that the survival of its deterrent capacity could not depend on the survival of any individual or group of individuals. Iran built what military theorists call a pre-delegated authority structure, a system in which units at multiple levels hold pre-authorized orders, pre-selected target packages, and pre-positioned weapons, activated not by a command from above, but by the triggering condition itself. The triggering condition was simple. If the Supreme Command is destroyed, fire. This doctrine is not unique to Iran. It has a precedent that military historians recognize immediately. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union developed what became known as the perimeter system, colloquially called the dead hand, an automated or semi-automated nuclear retaliatory system designed to ensure that a first strike on Soviet leadership could not prevent a nuclear response. The system monitored for seismic activity consistent with nuclear detonations and for the cessation of official command communications. If both conditions were met, it could authorize the launch of intercontinental ballistic missiles without a human commander issuing the order. The logic was explicit. The adversary must know that eliminating our leadership does not eliminate our retaliation. The deterrent must be credible even after decapitation. Iran built an analogous system at the conventional level, scaled to the reality of its position as a regional power surrounded by American military, installations, operating proxy networks across 5 countries, and holding geography that gives it physical leverage over 20% of the world's oil trade. The system was not designed to win a war against the United States. It was designed to make starting that war prohibitively expensive. The decision to strike 5 countries simultaneously, rather than concentrate retaliatory fire on the forces that directly attacked Iran, reflects a strategic calculation that the history of asymmetric warfare makes legible. Iran launched approximately 162 missiles at Israel, 167 missiles at the United Arab Emirates, 46 at Qatar, and additional strikes at Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The geographic dispersion was not a sign of desperation. It was a signal. It said to every government in the region that had permitted the United States to use its territory, its airspace, or its logistical infrastructure to prosecute this operation, you are not a bystander. You are a participant. And participation carries costs. The UAE closed its embassy in Iran and withdrew its diplomats following the strikes on its territory. Saudi Arabia issued a statement warning it would take all necessary measures to defend its security, including the option of responding directly. Qatar's Al Udeid Air Base, which hosts approximately 10,000 American service members and serves as the operational hub for United States Central Command air operations across the region, was struck repeatedly. The geometry of the response was designed to confront every state in the region with a choice between distancing itself from the American operation and accepting that it would continue to be a target. Iran's foreign ministry made a statement that deserves to be examined carefully in the context of what was happening militarily at the same moment. Officials acknowledged that the military had lost contact with several units, that some IRGC formations were operating according to old general instructions, firing missiles without direct communication with the surviving leadership. This statement was presented by some observers as evidence of disarray. It is the opposite. It is confirmation that the pre-delegated authority system was functioning exactly as designed. Units that lost contact with the command structure did not stand down. They executed pre-authorized orders. The distinction matters enormously for understanding what kind of military capability the United States and Israel actually degraded in the opening strikes. They removed the human decision-making layer. They did not remove the weapons, the targeting data, the launch infrastructure, or the standing orders that govern their use. A military that has separated its deterrent capability from its command survivability is a fundamentally different adversary than one that depends on continuous command for every operational decision. The immediate effect on the 5 targeted countries was precisely the shock Iran's doctrine intended. Airspace across the entire Gulf was closed within hours. Israel, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, and Syria all shuttered simultaneously. International airlines, including British Airways, Lufthansa, and Cathay Pacific, suspended Middle East services. Tens of thousands of passengers were stranded. Qatar Airways and Kuwait Airways suspended their own operations. The Crown Plaza Hotel in Manama was struck. Fires burned at Jebel Ali, the most strategically important commercial port in the Middle East, through which approximately 20% of all Gulf trade transits. Doha Airport was under threat. Flight crews sheltered in hotels. The damage to regional economic confidence was immediate and structural, in a way that physical casualties alone could not quantify. There is a dimension to what unfolded in those first 60 minutes that military analysts have noted with alarm and that the public record is only beginning to absorb. The United States expended enormous quantities of Tomahawk cruise missiles and Patriot interceptors in the opening phases of Operation Epic Fury. National security observers raised concerns about the finite number of these weapons in the American inventory, given the simultaneous demands of positioning munitions in Europe, the Indo-Pacific, and now the Persian Gulf theater. Iran, operating from the opposite side of this asymmetry, possesses an estimated 2,500 missiles in the IRGC inventory. Relatively inexpensive, increasingly accurate weapons that cost a fraction of the interceptors required to defeat them. Every Shahed drone that penetrates air defenses and causes damage, every ballistic missile that forces a Patriot interceptor to fire, is eroding a precision weapons stockpile that takes years to reconstitute. The doctrine behind Iran's 60-minute response is not designed to defeat American military power. It is designed to drain it, to impose costs faster than the adversary can absorb them, to make the arithmetic of sustained military operations in the Persian Gulf unfavorable for the side that depends on expensive precision munitions to fight a war against cheap, mass-produced weapons. Military history is full of decapitation operations that achieved their tactical objective and failed their strategic one. In January 2020, the United States killed IRGC Quds Force Commander Qasem Soleimani in a targeted strike at Baghdad Airport. The operation was executed with precision. Soleimani, the most capable operational commander in Iran's history, was eliminated. Iran's regional proxy network, which Soleimani had built and maintained for 2 decades, did not collapse. It recalibrated, absorbed the loss, and continued operating. The Houthis in Yemen continued attacking Red Sea shipping. Hezbollah maintained its arsenal. Iraqi militias continued launching rockets at American bases. The network survived because Soleimani had spent 20 years ensuring that the relationships, the weapons caches, and the operational doctrine embedded in the network would outlast any individual node, including himself. Operation Epic Fury eliminated dozens of officials simultaneously, including commanders that Soleimani himself had never had to face losing. The scale of decapitation was unprecedented, But the doctrine that Iran built specifically to survive decapitation was also unprecedented, and it was already executing its pre-programmed response before the smoke over Tehran had cleared. There's also the question of what the 60-minute response revealed about the countries that found themselves inside the blast radius of a decision they did not make. The UAE had for years walked a careful diplomatic line, maintaining economic relationships with Iran while hosting American military infrastructure, balancing between the two dominant forces contesting the Gulf's future. Qatar had hosted Al Udeid Air Base while maintaining diplomatic backchannels to Tehran. Bahrain hosted the Fifth Fleet while navigating a Shia majority population with deep ties across the water to Iran. These were not naive calculations. They were the product of decades of deliberate, sustained diplomatic investment by small states that understood their geography and acted accordingly. The 60 minutes that followed Operation Epic Fury's first wave compressed those calculations into a binary that the pre-conflict diplomatic architecture was not designed to survive. You were either in the network or you were in the target list. And the IRGC units firing without orders from a destroyed command structure were not consulting a map of diplomatic relationships before choosing their coordinates. The 60 minutes between the first strike and the first Iranian retaliatory missile crossing an international border is one of the most historically significant hours in the modern history of warfare. Not because of what it destroyed, but because of what it revealed. It revealed that decapitation warfare has a boundary condition that Iran's military architects had specifically engineered around. It revealed that a state expecting to be decapitated can distribute its deterrent in ways that make decapitation strategically irrelevant to the question of retaliation. It revealed that 5 Gulf countries, which had built their security calculations on the assumption of American military dominance, could find themselves directly targeted within an hour of an operation they did not authorize. And it revealed the answer to the question that planners in Washington, Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, Doha, and Manama are now compelled to confront. What does it cost to fight a military that has already planned for its own death and built its response into the architecture before the first bomb fell? That is what the 60 minutes revealed. And it is a question that has no comfortable answer in the history of how great powers have managed the consequences of operations that succeeded tactically and opened something larger than they were designed to close.